Darth Vader issue 37 heads to the Executor, where a droid finds his underlings haven't completed their repairs of the battle droids yet. A mouse droid bumps into him and unleashes the Scourge onto the droid, infecting him. Stormtroopers come by to check on the droids, finding them all infected. The droids attack, killing the troopers as across the Executor, the power goes out. The droids sweep the ship, finding the last organic life is holed up in the bridge tower. The lead droid wants to keep them trapped there and alive, with limited comms and emergency beacons, knowing that it will be good for them to call for help since they will bring their true target to them. Darth Vader, meanwhile, is still on Mustafar, continuing to try and regain his force powers with the Zali shield. Ort 6 finds himself worried, and for good reason, as Vader uses the force to levitate the droid and crumple him up. Arix is impressed that he held on for that long, but wants to try something else, reminding Vader of when he served the Jedi, they would meditate. Vader doesn't want him to speak of the Jedi since they were weak. The training is interrupted by Zed, who comes to see Vader and brings a hologram of Master Amida with him. The Grand Vizier tells Vader that the Executor has been compromised by an unknown force. Mas wonders if Vader is up for this task and if his force abilities have returned, but Vader wants to ask the assassin droids he sent. Mas hasn't been able to contact them, and Vader knows it's because they are all in his service now. He assures Mas that his abilities have never been stronger, as Ort 6 asks Zed how many times must they die in the service of Vader, but Zed knows that he should be happy since they are rebuilt again in the service of Lord Vader, and what other droids have such purpose. Vader and his droid crew head up to the Executor, finding that their systems have been disabled in 93% of the ship. Suddenly they are attacked by TIE fighters flown by astromech droids. Zed knows that the droids aren't doing a good job at targeting their ship, however Vader knows it's clear that this is a diversion. Ort 6 wants to retreat while they can, but Vader reminds him that in his service there is no retreat. On the Executor, Admiral Piet learns that Vader has boarded the destroyer and is making his way to the bridge, as the bridge doors are soon breached by the Scourge. Vader and his own droids attack them, blasting their way through the ship until they get to the command center. Zed discovers that the systems have a failsafe inbuilt into them which will shut down all droids on board, but the computer controlling this system has been destroyed, and it will take hours to fix. Hours that Admiral Piet and those left on the bridge don't have. Arix reveals that on Aladim he saw Vader rebuild himself with his parts and the Force, and while Vader betrayed the Jedi, he must remember their training. Vader taps into the Force, using it to try and rebuild the computer, however it doesn't work. Arix tells Vader that he was programmed to serve him above all else, but he needs to remember the words of the Jedi. Vader thinks back to his talk with Qui-Gon on Coruscant, learning the Master won't be able to train him. Instead, he wants the boy to watch and be mindful, since his focus will determine his reality. Years later, as Obi-Wan spars with Anakin in the Jedi Temple, Kenobi tells his apprentice he's too aggressive and he must be mindful, as the Jedi's role is to defend life, not take it. Arix reminds Vader to use the Force without force, and again Vader taps into his memories, seeing Qui-Gon just before his death, his mother's grave, Obi-Wan confronting him on Mustafar, and his own dead body, all of which cause him to unleash the Force on the machines and on Arix, ripping the droid apart. Zed thinks that the more direct approach is always an option, as Vader returns to blasting the droids apart with the Zali shield. As he fights on, Master Amida contacts Admiral Korlock, learning that the crew of the Executor can't be reached and Vader has left the ship to confront the droid uprising aboard the destroyer. Mas knows that at least 84% of the human life aboard the ship is already dead, coming to the conclusion that Vader has already failed in his mission and they cannot risk the threat leaving the Executor. By Imperial command, the Grand Vizier orders the Executor and everything and everyone on board to be destroyed.